a young man. His name is Matthew Sandford. In 1978, Matthew was just 13 years old. And when he was 13 years old, his family were in a car accident. In that accident, the car skidded off an overpass. It was in Iowa in the wintertime. The roads were very icy. And in that accident, Matthew's father was killed and his sister. He didn't wake up until many weeks later because he was severely damaged as well. He was in a coma. At the time of the accident, when it happened, he was 119 pounds. He had been popular, healthy, physically active. He woke up weeks later out of that coma at 79 pounds. Shattered bones and shattered dreams. When he woke up, he had a completely different body and a completely different reality, a completely different life. He woke up to great physical pain, huge loss, trauma, and paralysis. It paralyzed him from the neck down, a 13-year-old, healthy, active boy. And so, as he began to wake up and absorb his reality, he had to do what he had to do, and he began to strengthen his body. He had teams of people working with him so that he could rehabilitate and function in a wheelchair, hopefully. And he began to do that, and he focused on that as much as he could. But he told that he really didn't know how to deal with it. And the brokenness for him felt like darkness and heaviness. You can imagine the sadness and the loss he was carrying. That's huge. And so now, as getting up into his older teen years, he begins drinking and drugs and just really kind of trying to check out and self-medicate from all of that. But he's also realizing that's not working. What is he going to do? And he had a teacher who was working with him and working with his body to strengthen his body. And the teacher said to him, he said, Matthew, you got to find a way to deal with that brokenness and with that darkness. Matthew later wrote, he said, if you don't learn how to embrace your brokenness and your darkness, you can never find the wholeness that is you. He said, if you don't learn how to embrace your brokenness and your darkness, you will never find the part of you that is right there, ready to integrate, heal, and transform. And he began to work with this teacher, and through that he discovered yoga. Now, if you know anything about yoga, how many of you know what the word yoga means? Union. Yoga is about union with yourself and union with a great state of being. He began to work with yoga. He said, I eventually had to learn how to direct my darkness into action. After the accident, I was taught to make my arms really strong, to learn to overcompensate for the paralyzed lower part of my body, but I really missed my body because my brain was still very much aware of my whole body. And he said, so in working with the spinal cord injury and practicing yoga, I had a phenomenal teacher that helped me connect with my awareness. By awareness, we mean our inner presence, our inner consciousness, our inner awareness. He said, I had a teacher that helped me connect with that inner part of myself. And I learned how to direct that awareness and move it throughout my body, and a miracle happened. In so doing, I discovered that my subtle body, my energy body, my spirit was always whole, that there was a dimension of me that was always whole. He said there's an awareness with each of us that is not dependent on the spinal cord or any part of our physical body. There's a consciousness that is a part of us that is more subtle and yet more intelligent than all of that. What I found as I started to recognize and feel some of the more subtle connections in my whole being, what I learned is who you are and what you think you are begins to change and stretch. He said, I actually recognize things I never knew before. I now understand we're made up of some combination of tangible and intangible consciousness, spirit and matter, and that there's a part of us that is always alive and well. Let me show you a picture of Matthew today and his book. The book that I'm reading from is his book, Waking.